So you want to talk about Aaron Rodgers' future?
Yep, that is the topic of conversation right now. And by the time we're recording this on Monday, January 16th, Aaron Rodgers Tuesday is supposed to be happening on the Pat McAfee show on Tuesday, January 17th. And by the time this video comes out, it is Friday. So, by the time you see this, maybe Aaron Rodgers has said what he's going to do, but assuming he's still taking his time, I feel like it's something we should talk about.
Okay. I was going to say I don't have an opinion. I guess I do have an opinion. I'm tired of Aaron Rodgers just stirring up shit. I don't think Rodgers is going anywhere. I think he's got a long career in Green Bay. I think they had a down year. I think it's all been smoke and mirrors to either get more money or just cause problems to get his name in the media. And I'm not mad at him for it. I'm kind of exhausted talking about it. I don't see this guy has any reason to go anywhere else. My money is that he's staying in Green Bay.
And that seems logical, right? You're talking about, an old school football player. Aaron Rodgers fits into the old school football player. And those old school football players, when they made a commitment, they stuck to it. And he just signed a 3-year contract for a lot of money. So I wouldn't be surprised one bit if he comes back. And it's almost expected that he probably comes back, especially with the competitor that he is. But I think, I'm somebody, I've watched Pat McAfee show for, 4 or 5 years at this point, whatever it's been. Aaron Rodgers Tuesday has been on for 3 years. And I've gotten to see a lot of Aaron Rodgers and kind of how he thinks, how he works. And I thought after the Damar Hamlin thing happened, the next Tuesday after that, I thought he said some interesting things that kind of pointed to some things he was thinking about with his future. And then after the Lions game, and they lost that game, one of the Lions players wanted to swap jerseys with Aaron Rodgers. And I thought it was really interesting that he said, no, I got to keep this one before, going on to high five someone else and talk to someone else. And so I think there's a lot of smoke around the fact that he's honestly thinking about retiring. I think there are people saying, he could go somewhere else and get traded somewhere else. I don't think that's in the books. I think this team, they've done a pretty good job of building the team around him, give one more offseason to, have another draft, put some more pieces around him and keep getting his input. I don't see any reason for Aaron Rodgers to want to leave. Again, one of those things that factors into that decision for me is the fact that he's the old school mentality. He's not going to go anywhere. I honestly believe when he says he wants to stay in Green Bay, he means that. And so I don't think he's going to go anywhere else. I think it's either retire or stay. And I think there have been some things that he's mentioned over the last, basically the whole season, but especially since the Damar Hamlin situation. There are just a couple of hints thrown in. If you know how Aaron Rodgers, every now and then he'll throw something subtle into a conversation. And if you pick it up, you'll get a good read on what he's thinking. And it just feels like there might be some smoke to the fire that he could retire.
And what I will say is, being my age and just not only watching football or pro sports, but just life in general. The longer you do something, the harder it is to get the energy to do it. And Aaron Rodgers would be a fool if he's not been thinking about retiring for 2 years, right? And I think the smart thing is for a guy at this stage of his career, and we hear a lot of guys say that. I'm just trying to get through the season. I want to take the off season. I want to think about it. And we saw Tom Brady think about it. And then make a decision, then come back and say, no, I was just kidding. Well, what he did is he made a decision and then later realized that the fire was still there. You gotta have, that's why I admire guys like Mike Krzyzewski from the Duke Blue Devils. I mean, what he coached, 43 years or so. I don't know how you get up for work every day with the same energy at year 43 that you did at year 20. It's phenomenal, which is, in my opinion, another reason that I admire Tom Brady, because he's played so long and he's still bringing the fire to the game. Whether he's playing well or not isn't the point, and it's not going to be the point with Rodgers. If he has the fire and he comes back, I admire him for that, because it takes a lot. But it also takes a lot to know when it's time to walk away. So it doesn't surprise me that he's thinking about it. How many years has he been in the league now?
I think this was his 17th season,
That's what I thought.
14 as a starter.
Okay. That's what I thought. I was going to say 17 or 18. So he may still have. I mean, physically, he's probably got some football left. I mean, he's not what he once was, but he's still got some football left in him. It'll just be whether mentally he wants to go through the grind again. So there ain't anybody can predict that. That's all up to him.
Yeah, and that's why it's a wild card, because he's always been a free thinker anyways, but he's also, done the ayahuasca a couple times and talked about, the journey that took him on and the things that he thought about through that process and since that process, and doing, those kinds of hallucinogens, opens you up to more. You know what I mean? So he's somebody who enjoys life, and it's why I wouldn't be surprised if he walks away. But I wouldn't be, it's tough to say. I keep coming back to that old school mentality. It feels like he'll probably honor the 3-year contract, but there's really no telling.
Yeah. Well, and the ayahuasca point is a great point. I was just talking about someone that I coached a long time ago in Little League, and he played high school sports with my oldest son, and he was a phenomenal athlete. He was an amazing kicker, and he could have kicked in the NFL, and that's not an exaggeration. And he walked away from it after high school. He didn't even kick in college because he said he wanted to go to college and just enjoy college for what it was. And he played sports. He was such a good athlete, and it had dominated his life, and he wanted to just experience life as it was. And so that's a great point about Rodgers and his mentality, and the ayahuasca and the psychedelics open you up. So I don't know. We'll see. I guess we might see Tuesday. But if you're watching this video and Rodgers hasn't made a decision yet on Tuesday on the Pat McAfee show, like Hefe was referring to, we want to know your thoughts. Drop in the comments. Tell us, is Rodgers going to stay, go, or go somewhere else?